All right, welcome back for social studies. Um, Remember today we're going to talk about somebody who came from Ireland to America. So let's look at the map. Those are vocab words. I'll show you in a second. Ireland is here to America. So we had somebody from Germany, we had somebody from Italy, and now we have somebody from Ireland. And they're going to come all the way over to America. Okay? Our vocab words that we need to be aware of are on this screen. I'll just read them. Okay, afford means to have enough money to pay for something or time to do something. So you can afford in time or afford in money. Blight, a sudden and quick death of plants or crops because of a disease. A blight doesn't sound like a positive thing. Sudden or quick death of plants or crops because of a disease. And emigrated, that's left a country or region to settle into another country. So immigration is the act of doing it. Emigrated is that you already did it. So it's like past tense. I left a country. I emigrated here. If you're immigrating, you're doing it. Emigrating means you already did it. Okay? All right, let's go. This here is one of the push factors in Ireland. So push, is that causing you to go or making you stay or come? Yes, push is causing you to go. One of the push factors was in 1845, the potato crop in Ireland, the main food crop in Ireland, suddenly all died. So many people in Ireland had very little to eat, and they also made a lot of money by doing potatoes, and so they didn't have any money, they didn't have any food, so that made them come to the United States to get better job opportunities and a better life. Okay? Immigrated is when you have come, it's past tense, you've come, you immigrated over here. I'm sorry, immigrated means that you enter it. Emigrated is that you're leaving one country reason to go to another. All right. So we are going to hear about another family. You ready? For once, Sean and Fiona Murphy were grateful for the crowds of people on the streets in New York City. It was a freezing cold day in 1858, and all those bodies helped block the powerful wind blowing in from the Hudson River. Fiona told Sean, "Let's go in Uncle Brendan's." And a minute later they entered their uncle's little restaurant named Murphy's after the family. The cold followed them in, so they quickly shut the door behind themselves. A familiar voice called out, "Well now, look who the cat dragged in." It was Uncle Brendan. What does that mean, look who the cat dragged in? That's a silly phrase, right? It means like, look who just showed up. It wasn't a cat, Sean laughed. It was Fiona. "I'm hungry, Uncle Brendan." "You're a 15-year-old boy," his uncle answered. "You're always hungry. Sit down and I'll get each of you a plate. But Sean, don't you eat so much that you've nothing left for my paying customers. So this here is Sean, and this here is Fiona." Okay? They're from Ireland. Good. Just then Aunt Kathleen came out from the kitchen and walked over. Quietly she asked, "How's your ma?" Fiona grew serious. "Not so good, Auntie. She says she should be used to this cold after living in a drafty one-room shack back in Ireland, but this New York winter is doing something to her. And you know Pa, he never says he's worried, but when he was home last month, I could see it in his eyes. I've been wishing he could be home more." Kathleen replied, "Well, he's lucky to have a job. Working to lay railroad tracks out west may take him away often, but his pay is putting food in your mouth and paying for whatever heat we can get in our home." Fiona's family included her aunt, her uncle, had been sharing a tiny apartment ever since they emigrated from Ireland to settle in the United States. Uncle Brendan's restaurant, Murphy's, was doing well now, but he and his brother Peter, Sean and Fiona's father, were still paying back the money they owed for buying the restaurant. Any money that they earned helped the whole family. So her dad has a job, but it's away building railroad. So he's not around the family as he's in another state, but he's being able to make a lot of money so that they can pay for their food. There's a hardship, right? That's something that makes it a little difficult to come over here. By now, plates of food had appeared in front of Sean and Fiona. Sean breathed in the familiar smells of the food from his home country, Ireland. "Ah, bacon joint and potatoes," he told Aunt Kathleen. "It reminds me of Ireland every time I smell your cooking." Remember we talked about that when you come over, they brought their culture, so they brought the kind of food that they make, and that's why in America we have so many different kinds of foods, because they brought over their recipes. It should, she answered, since I cook the same foods for you there. Only we have more to eat here. There was never enough food to eat, even after the potato blight ruined our main food source in Ireland. Even your pa, the strongest man I know, was getting weak from hunger. It's a blessing to come to a country where there's food to eat, the land of opportunity indeed. Back in Dublin, Ireland, we worked just as hard, but we had a lot less. Ah, said Uncle Brendan, we would have never been able to own a restaurant back in Ireland, and even if we could have, no one had enough money to be a paying customer. We had so many hardships back home. We complained when all we had to eat in Ireland was potatoes, but we suffered tremendously when the potatoes were not even there. Our family had to pay a lot of money to immigrate to America, and even with all the difficulty we're going through, it has definitely been worth it. We have a good place to live in a neighborhood of Irish folks like us. I don't know what just happened to my screen. That was weird. Sure, some people have been hostile towards us. Remember, not treated them very well because they're different. But there's more food on our table than we've ever had back home in Ireland, and crowded as it may be, I prefer New York City to the farming in the rocky Irish soil. Still, I do miss a lot of the folks we left behind when we emigrated from Ireland. Remember, emigrated is a past tense of immigrated. As he was saying this, the door opened and a voice shouted out, "Well, I'm glad to hear that, Brendan, for we've no plans to go back." Uncle Brendan's face burst into a huge grin. "Michael Connolly!" he exclaimed. Turning, he saw his old neighbors from Ireland walking through the door. They were new immigrants to the United States now. After a happy reunion, Brendan said, "Sit down, all. We bring you a good warm meal." Later, after the Connolly family was full of Kathleen's hearty food, Brendan asked Michael, "Have you had a place to stay? And what are you doing about work?" "We're staying with my brother for now," his old neighbor replied. "As for work, I don't know." "Well, I'd hire you myself," Brendan said, "but I couldn't afford to pay you. But there's a fellow here from an old country who needs wagon drivers to deliver ice in the summer and coals for fires in the winter. No man alive knows more about horses than you do. Michael, I'll take you to meet him. It's hard work, but what isn't? At least you'll be near your new home. Not like my brother Peter, who out west laying railroad track with a pick and a shovel. Remember, they're in New York, so they're all the way in the east, and his brother is all the way in the west laying railroad tracks." At this, his niece Fiona said, "But not for long, Uncle. That's what I was starting to tell you. We got a letter. Pa says his boss thinks so highly of his work that he's bringing him back to New York to work in an office." Her brother Sean added, "Pa will be home by the end of the month. He says that it's a lucky thing he can read or write, or he would not have given him this new job opportunity. He says it will pay better than building the railroad out west. What's even better is that now he'll be close to home to take care of Ma. You should have seen her face when I read her the letter. I think maybe she'll get better now with Pa around." So he was working hard, but he also came with some skills, so it's helping him move up, right? Uncle Brandon nodded. "Ah, Sean, when your pa's around, your mother perks up like a flower, and that just got watered. And see how important it is that you and Fiona learn to read and write so well at an early age? One day you'll have a better job opportunity than any of us because of your skills." Sean smiled. "Fiona and I are very lucky now to live here in the land of opportunity, but we'll never forget where we came from and what sacrifices our family had to make to get us here." "Well," said Uncle Brendan, "it seems that we all have a great deal to be grateful for in America. Kathleen and I are lucky enough to own a restaurant. The Connollys are newcomers here. My brother will be with us soon and working in a better job. I believe your Ma will get better. Children, all in all, I'd say that as hard as the changes sometimes are, coming to America was definitely a good idea." So we have the push factor from Ireland was the potatoes went through a blight. They died, so they couldn't eat and they couldn't earn money if they had a potato farm. Pull factor from America was the land of opportunity. More jobs, more money, more places to live, right? But when they did move here, there are some hardships. Remember we learned that word? Some of the hardships that they talked about are Ma's real sick and the kids are having to help take care of her. Pa went and he has to work all the way across the country to build railroads, which is really hard work, and isn't with the family. They still aren't making great money. They have some, but not enough to just be given to everybody. So they're still trying to make it work because it takes a long time to get settled, right? But because he learned to read and write, he came with skills. So now Paul gets to come over and have a job with better, that's closer to home and more money. And the restaurant is doing good and they have more friends from Ireland. So there's a lot of positives, some negatives, but all in all, they said what? It's still a very good idea that we came here. So there's your lesson today. Fill out the worksheet. Make sure you are reading complete sentences and please answer the questions that are asked. If you need to watch the video again to get the answers, please do so. But I need you to be reading the detailed instructions, okay? When it says label, make sure you're not missing pieces, all right? All right, do a good job. Bye, guys.